These are the kind of marks you'll see on the fork leg when the oil seal has failed. So this is a good indication you need to change your oil seal. These are all the parts that go to make up a Yamaha XV950 fork leg. A damper rod and rebound spring, an outer and an inner bushing, a bolt with a copper washer and an oil flow stopper, a dust seal, a circlip, an oil seal and a washer, a fork spring, a spring seat, a spacer, and of course the chrome leg, the main body and the fork cap with the oil seal. You're going to need an oil seal driver and a regular set of tools with some sockets and some hex keys. You need a long 8mm hex key there and a damper rod tool. You'll also need a torque wrench and some screwdrivers. The first step is to loosen the fork cap bolt at the top of the forks. You can do this whilst it's still in the triple tree, but it's not a problem if you wait until you've taken out the forks. Just make sure if you're going to use a vise, just to grip it really gently. Be ready with the drip tray, because as soon as you pop off this bolt, the oil is going to start to leak out. Now you can start to drain all of the oil out. You'll see the spacer first. So slide that out, put that to one side. And then you will see the spring seat. And then after that, the actual compression fork spring can be taken out. Try to catch as much oil as you can. And then with the pumping action, you can pump out the rest of the oil and catch it in the tray. Once all the oil has been removed, we can continue and disassemble the rest of the fork leg. I've set up the damper rod holder tool in the vise so it's a little bit easier for me to film, but you don't have to do it this way. You can see me feeding the fork leg over the damper rod holder tool, and I need to engage the very top of the damper rod. It has a 24mm hex nut on the top, but you'll see that when we actually take the damper rod out. From underneath the leg, we need to put in the 8mm hex key to undo the bolt. That should come out with a copper washer as well, but again, be ready with the drip tray, because some more oil will come out. So you can see me now taking the damper rod back out. The rod is loose, and I'm just going to catch the remaining oil. The next step is to remove the dust seal. So we get a small screwdriver and we just ease the dust seal away from the lower fork leg, trying not to scratch the paint, and then we can slide it all the way off, and that will expose the circlips which hold the actual oil seal in. So we just need to get the screwdriver inside. There's 4 sections, and just ease it up and it will come loose. With the circlip removed, we can actually separate the fork legs. So we extend the chrome leg all the way, and then a few sharp pulls will see the legs come apart. There'll be an oil flow stopper in the lower half of the leg, so we need to grab hold of that. And then you can see the bushings there and the washers. But now we can remove the oil seal all the way along the end of the tube. There it is. And we can have a check for some damage to make sure everything's nice and clean. And then this is the damper rod that we had to use the tool to hold on to. That will slide out, so we'll put that to one side as well. You can see the bushings here, so you'll need a little screwdriver to separate that bushing, but we'll show you how to do that now. Lay the fork leg on a nice clean cloth and support it with a little bit of wood, and then you can get the screwdriver into the outer bushing and just open it slightly so it can slide off of the leg. The inner bushing will also slide off. There's no need to open that one out, along with the metal washer. At this point, you should be able to check for any scratches or any imperfections in the surface. If there is too much damage, you may need to change the fork leg, but ours is nice and clean, so we're just going to go ahead with the disassembly. A similar process is required to remove the damper rod ring from the damper rod. If you just get the screwdriver in, it will open up slightly so you can just free it over the ridge. Just like that. Reassembly is straightforward. You should have two new bushings, but you can use the old washer. Slide it on like so, then the outer bushing, and then the inner bushing. You can use some lithium grease in order to help it slide on more easily, but it will click into place. Then you can install the fork seal. Again, you can apply some lithium grease and be careful when you slide it over so as not to damage it. Then you can add the circlip ring and the dust cap. You can slide it all the way down, and this should be the layout. You can now install the damper rod ring onto the damper rod and also the rebound spring. We can lubricate this with a little bit of fork oil in order for it to slide down the chrome tube a little easier. So place it nice and gently. We don't want to damage the fork tube, and then with the help of gravity we can allow it to slide to the bottom and poke out the other end. Install the oil flow stopper before we move on to the next step. At this point we're ready to join the two legs together. So I'm going to install the damper rod holder tool and make sure that that's firmly engaged, and then for this video I'm going to hold it in the vise. Bring the legs together very carefully. We don't want to put any scratches down the inside of the main body leg. What we're trying to do is to get the damper rod all the way to the base so we can install the bolt from the bottom. With a little bit of Loctite on the bolt, we can hand tighten first and then follow up with the ratchet. Once we're happy that it's tight, we can finish to the final torque, which is 30 Newton meters. With the legs now together, we can install the oil seal. Feed the oil seal into the cavity. Place the two halves of the 41mm seal driver over the fork leg. Hold the chrome leg clear of the base, and short, sharp taps are all that's required. Once it's seated, you can remove the two halves of the seal driver and install the circlip. There are 4 sections to this, so with a small screwdriver, gently feed down until it clicks into place. Check all 4 sections are seated correctly. Once you're happy, you can slide the dust cap down and just install with some light pressure. For the final steps, you should reinstall the forks into the triple trees. The first part to go in will be the spring, and then you will have the spring seat and then the spacer. You can now top up with the fork oil. The manual recommends that you use 547 millilitres of fork oil. The final step is to install the fork cap bolt. With a new O-ring and a little bit of lithium grease, you need to put downward pressure on the spacer in order to be able to seat the screw thread. Don't put too much pressure, just enough to hold the thread in place as you turn. Continue to tighten the thread, and the final torque is 23 Newton meters.